Welcome to all Caribbean entrepreneurs. If you've been ready and waiting to take your business digital and get paid online while you sip something strong on the beach, this podcast is for you. We'll hear from the Caribbean's finest entrepreneurs on topics like e-commerce, business development, brand building, social media, their wins and failures. This is the only place in the region helping you navigate the digital age from the Caribbean's perspective. This is Digipreneur FM. And now, let's give it up for the Digiboss himself, Mr. Karan Rose.
Thank you to everybody tuning in to another episode of the Digipreneur FM podcast. And as usual, it is your boy, Mr. Rose. DJ, you know what to do. You know you gotta fade us all the way out so we can talk to the people. It is Thursday, May 22nd, 2025, and this is episode number 188. Ooh, how are you good, folks? How are you good, ladies and gentlemen, doing inside of the Digipreneur family? I hope you have been doing great. I've been doing well. I can't complain. Matter of fact, I feel like this episode that we're diving into today is a bit of a reflection as to, why I've started to just feel good. And I think my experience over the last week in particular here in Thailand, I don't know. I think I felt a shift. I felt a shift over this last week, right? I really did feel a shift. And I know usually we always have a little preamble before we get into our episode, but I think today my preamble kind of just leads into everything. Today's been a really, I guess I would say, kind of a reflective morning so far. What time is it? It's only 11:55 a.m. right now. So if you're in the West, if you're in Trinidad, it'd be 12:55 in the morning. Is it? Sometimes I forget. I always have my dual clock on. Yeah, it's 12:56 a.m. So it's pushing 1 a.m. in Trinidad, 12 a.m. in Jamaica, right? So I'm on the flip side of that right now. But yeah. This past week, I feel like there was just such a big shift, and I had to wake up early this morning. I had to get up at 4:00 in the morning today, because we have an upcoming workshop with YBTT. Shout out to YBTT. I think my workshop is happening June 4th, somewhere there, early June. But follow me on social media or Youth Business of Trinidad and Tobago, YBTT. Follow them. Somebody's going to post a flyer. Once it's in my calendar, I just know when to show up. I always forget the dates. But I think it is, let me see, because I'm actually curious. Yeah, I got to go and put it in. All right, well, yeah, just follow me on social media. Follow YBTT. We have an upcoming workshop happening in June, right? And I had to wake up early this morning because we were doing a bit of a kind of an info session, right? So people were able to come in, learn about some of the instructors for the upcoming workshop series, and then when we touched on what we're going to be covering inside of the workshop series, all right? So I woke up this morning. And obviously, it's Trinidad time, so everybody, it's evening time. It's 6 p.m. in Trinidad, and it was 5 a.m. for me. But I got up at 4 a.m. just to get ready. So anyways, just in a little chat with the other instructors and my good friend Rachel Rennie from Market Movers. She's like, "Yo, how are you even awake? Like, how are you even awake right now?" Like, I'd be dying to sleep right now, like if it was this early. And I'm just like, you know what, man, like, this is life right now. You know what I mean? Like, I really get to be on this side of the world and it hasn't stopped anything, and I could get up early because, I just have the flexibility, right? Usually I would go to bed nice and early and wake up to handle whatever workshops I have in the evening is always going to be early morning for me, right? So I mean, at this point I'm accustomed. But like last night I went to bed late, but I'm like, you know what? It's an info session. Let me just jump in, and I went right back to bed afterwards, right? So I just love the flexibility of life right now. And again, it got me thinking. It got me thinking about the past week. So if you follow me on social media, you know that the last week, guys, I went down south and I was in Krabi, the province of Krabi, right? And I specifically went to Ao Nang Beach City, and then I spent the night in Ao Nang. Then I spent 3 days in Rayleigh, and Rayleigh is just this. Rayleigh right now is ranked as the 9th best beach in the entire world right now, right? Rayleigh. And what makes Rayleigh just very special is it's everything. Like, it's not an island. It's at a point in Krabi, but how the landscape or how the lay of the land is, it's Rayleigh Beach is completely sealed off from the mainland of Krabi because of the mountain ranges. Like, it's impassable, right? So to get to Rayleigh, you actually have to take a traditional long-tail boat. Now, you don't have to take the long-tail boat, but we tend to take the long-tail boats, right? They're readily available. They're like taxis. They're all over the place, and they'll take you to any one of the beaches. They'll take you to any one of the islands across the southern space of Thailand, right? So you have to take this long-tail beach to get to Rayleigh Beach. So you get there. Again, it's secluded. There's no vehicles. There's no motorbikes. You just have to just walk the island. I keep wanting to say island, but it's not an island. But bear with me, right? Because I'm gonna say island, but it's not an island. It's part of mainland. It's just sealed off, right? Just bear with me. So, anyways, you have to walk, and to get to the east side or to the west side, it's gonna be about a 20-minute walk. But there's a lot of things in between. There's a lot of hotels. There's a lot of hotels. There's a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars. There's a lot of just different things to do, different things to see. It's very, very vibrant. It feels like it feels like a village, right? It feels like a modern day village. And in being there, I just love the entire experience, right? And again, follow me, because this is what's leading to today's conversation. So today's conversation is the modern island life, the Caribbean dream that I found in Thailand, right? And I'll preface this by saying that being born in Trinidad and then leaving as a baby, but then always visiting, Canada always felt like this was not my home. It always felt like we're here to live for whatever reason, but this is like not home. And the only time I ever felt at home was every single time we came back to Trinidad. And every time we came back to Trinidad, I always felt like, we're home. And I always tell my mom, even as a kid, I would tell my mom, like, yo, we're home. Like, that's how I always felt, My dad lived in Trinidad. My grandparents lived in Trinidad. The majority of my family lives in Trinidad. So it always felt like I was coming home. Like, God, you ripped us away and shipped us to this freezing cold country of Canada. And now every time we go back, we're home, right? Anyways, when I moved to Trinidad, right? So I've always had this vision for what modern Caribbean lifestyle would look like, right? And growing up, when I would think about what is the type of life that I wanted, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, because a lot of the things that I do now and that I thoroughly enjoy doing weren't invented when I was growing up, right? So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But in terms of like what type of lifestyle I wanted, I knew that I wanted to live in like modern Caribbean, right? Like, I like the Caribbean, but even as a kid growing back, I'd be like, I would yearn for the the creature comforts of Canada, right? So something as simple as, now again, I'm using this as a loose example, but you'll get where I'm going from, right? Not every house has running water, right? Not every house in Trinidad has running water. And water, and even if you do have a house that's connected to the water and sewage authority and you're getting running water goes a lot, right? Little things like that I'm not accustomed to. So I'm not accustomed that if the water is gone, you gotta go and fetch water. Right? I'm not accustomed to these things. Anyways, when I'd be visiting and electricity would go or water would go or things like this, or I'm hearing about people that don't have washing machines and they're still hand wash. Like, these things are not my normal because I grew up in Canada, and from when we moved to Canada, I've only ever known of washing clothes in a washing machine. I don't know about no hand washing or nothing like that. I don't know nothing about no fetching no water. I don't know nothing about no waters going and stuff like that. Like, and I could rarely, when I say rarely, I could count on maybe a hand, maybe two hands max, the amount of times electricity went in Canada for as long as I can remember. Like, that's not a normal thing, right? Power outages are not a normal thing. And when it does happen, it's like, oh, what the hell? But anyways, this is not to down the Caribbean or down Trinidad or anything. I'm just saying that growing up, when these things would happen, because it wasn't my norm, I'd always be like, yo, why is this happening over here? Why doesn't it happen over here? And I would always have this idea that if we could take like the modern society or the modern things of Canada and the US, and it came to Trinidad or came to the Caribbean, then best of both worlds, right? So modern Caribbean. I say all that to say that modern Caribbean was always the lifestyle that I envisioned for myself, right? I never felt like Canada was home, even though I lived the majority of my life there. It never felt like home, or at least I felt like, man, I would not live here for the rest of my life. I knew that, right? I knew that. Like, I'm not living here for the rest of my life. So anyways, modern Caribbean lifestyle was the lifestyle I would think about. So for me, that meant beautiful beaches, tropical living, but combined with the conveniences of modern technology, seamless digital services, and easy access to what I needed to live and to do my work efficiently, right? Now, obviously, that vision has come a long way from, just just wanting to have basics like running water and electricity not going. Over time, as technology has advanced in Canada and the US, and I'm looking at Trinidad to move, like, that was always, modern Caribbean was always and again, that vision of modern Caribbean just keeps evolving as new technology comes out, which is ironically why I'm in this space and why I continue to push the way that I push, right? So after living in Trinidad and Tobago for 10 years, I realized that while I gained so much in terms of personal and professional growth, the digital infrastructure and the lifestyle that I envisioned, it never quite materialized. Ironically, it wasn't until I moved halfway across the world to Thailand, first to the big city of Bangkok, and then just being able to travel throughout the islands down south and travel to other Asian countries, right? That I discovered that the lifestyle I always dreamed of really is that island life fused with innovation, and to be able to see it, touch it, experience it, it clicked. This is exactly what I have been looking for. And just the experience from Rayleigh, and we're gonna get into that, right? But just the experiences that I've been having this year in 2025, going to other different countries, being back in the big cities has been, the thing is, being in the big cities, I kind of just expect what I'm getting right now. I expect that. But the real magic really is when you're going to some of the more remote places and you're still seeing a lot of these things accessible. Well, that's a whole different thing, right? So that's really where the magic has been happening. So I often get asked naturally, right? How has your transition to Thailand been? And people are shocked, but then when they think about it, they're also kind of not surprised with my response. And I say, you know, they'll ask, how has the transit, how has the big transition been, to Thailand, halfway across the world, language barrier, you don't know nobody, how has that transition been? And I tell them like it was harder to transition to Trinidad. And at first they're like shocked because it's like, what? What do you mean it was harder to transition to Trinidad? And then they kind of, step back and they're like, okay, I could kind of see why you're saying that. And then when I explain to them, then they're like, okay, I get it. And that's kind of a theme throughout this conversation, right? As to why it has been so much easier to transition into Thailand, a country that doesn't speak English, nor do they use the English language. Why it's been easier to integrate and just find peace and be, and why it was harder for me to integrate into Trinidad, right? And again, this is not a bash. This is a conversation that ultimately leads to lessons that we can learn, because there's a lot of them. There's so many things that I've experienced just even within the past week where I'm like, man, if we could just take this, like if we could just take all of this and we can dump this back in Trinidad and, even as is, like even as is, this would help us so much, right? So moving to Trinidad from Toronto, I thought I was stepping into a new chapter of my Caribbean dream, like tropical living, community, opportunity. But over time, I started to realize that something was absolutely missing. I had the sunshine, right? Oh God, we have that in abundance in the region, right? We got the beaches. We have that in abundance in the region. So even if Trinidad beaches aren't that great, but they're still beaches, they're still dope. I still going, right? I still go in Las Cuevas. I still go in my Celebi and my Blanchishes, right? But if we really want that white sand, turquoise water, we had to Tobago for that. So the fact that that's even an option is still great, right? But again, I realized that something is missing. I didn't have the digital infrastructure. I didn't have the conveniences. And remember, when you're coming from a developed country like Canada, when you're coming from a big city like Toronto, these are things that if you're going to move to the islands, you already know. Them types of expectations, you better leave that at the door, because you're not going to get the digital infrastructure. You're not going to get the modern conveniences that you would have in the States. You're not going to get that in the islands. Again, these are things that we are working on. We've made strides. Jesus. From since I moved to Trinidad to when I left, we have made some significant strides. There wasn't even rideshare when I had just came in, right? So we've made some strides. But again, whilst we've made some strides, businesses still skeptical about websites. Payment systems are still rather clunky, and even if they do work to a level where you can execute and do what you got to do, widespread adoption just isn't there. Let's be real. When is the last time somebody peshed you a money or encash you a money? Like, when is the last time these things happen? Now, it might happen for some people, but I'm telling you, as somebody who is very tech savvy in the space, teaching people how to do it, nobody has ever used some of the services that are available to us, right? Right now, you're still getting, like, if you do have a website and you do build that trust, you will get people to buy from you, because that's really how I've been doing my business since 2017. It's been all digital, right? So you have to build that trust. But again, for the most part, most businesses are still skeptical about websites, digital payments, and building out anything that could give you a better customer experience or to give you as a consumer some level of convenience. Right now, everything is anti-experience. Alright? Public services are slow. Basic things like paying bills, accessing, just anything is just so much harder than it needs to be. And I know, and listen, again, I'm not beating a dead horse. We all know that, right? And even things like just paying bills online, right? Like you still have people that just don't pay bills online. They still want and it's not that they can't, they just don't trust it. And because they don't trust it, you just have more people clogging up the in-person experience. Like again, it has a ripple effect, right? But I'm grateful for the 10 years that I lived in Trinidad because that shaped me into who I am today, and it also helped me learn new skills, double down and hone in on my passion for technology, and it helped me build a business that's rooted in digital strategy. But because I came from Canada and I had that benchmark as to how things should go, I pretty much just kind of looked at the problems and the challenges that we have in TNT and across the Caribbean, and I just reverse engineered, my processes, and that's how I was able to find a lot of the tools and the strategies and the workarounds to do a lot of the things that we would need to do, on an international stage, right? And that's that's kind of been my North Star, helping me to build my business, right? But again, the region gave me that space to really become who I am today. But it never gave me the lifestyle that I envisioned myself. And that's something I started to realize I might never really find, right? Because again, my idea for my life was modern Caribbean. Not modern island life, because you can get island life. Clearly, you can get island life around, like in many places around the world, right? But I wanted modern Caribbean. I wanted to be amongst my people. I wanted to be amongst my family. I wanted to eat, I want pilau. I ain't lying to tell you. We have some Jamaican spots out here, and they've been holding me down. But oh God, I still want a little pilau. I still want a little roti. If I don't eat doubles a lot, but not that anything's wrong with doubles. I just don't eat doubles a lot. I would probably eat it more if it was delivered. But me having to go every single time to get doubles and then line up, dude, that's pretty much the only reason why I don't eat doubles as much. And maybe that's a good thing, because I guess if it was available to order, then I might have overindulged. Quite possibly. But really and truly, that's the main reason why I don't eat a lot of doubles. I can order roti. I would eat more roti because I could order it, right? And it doesn't have to be me at home. It could just be me somewhere. And again, I just don't want to go, because a lot of times I don't want to go into a restaurant. I don't want to have to go somewhere to order. Again, this is what I'm saying. Like the creature comforts and the conveniences. These are things that I need because I know me. I don't want to have to go somewhere every single time to eat something I want, right? Sure, food can be made at home. Cool. But for the things that I want, like that I'm not making roti, I'm not making doubles. I want these things to be able to be ordered. But again, creature comforts, right? So making this move to Thailand after spending 10 years in Trinidad, I knew that I wanted to get back to technology. I knew I wanted to, and when I say technology, I'm talking about the day-to-day technology, the things that make our lives easier. I wanted to get back to that. So because I had a lot of these things in Toronto that made life easier, and there's been so much more advancements since I've, lived in a big city like Toronto, I knew I wanted to get back to that city life. I was craving a place that had the infrastructure. And at first I was looking at Medellin, right? Love Medellin. I'm going to live in Medellin. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. It might, Medellin might even be after Thailand. I don't know. But At some point in my life, I need to spend some time in Colombia, right? But anyways, I was looking at Medellin, but then I ended up deciding on Bangkok, primarily because right around the time I was looking at moving to Colombia is right around the time that Thailand announced their 5-year visa. And then the more I started to research into Thailand, it just opened up my eyes, and I saw so many more possibilities, right? It's also in Asia, right? So it's a region that's leading the way in technology. And I miss that fast paced. I miss being able to rely on systems that actually worked. I missed seeing and touching and experiencing innovation happening in real time. And Bangkok felt like that return to that lifestyle. Also, again, you're in Asia. So you're not just, the day-to-day technology, you're not just there for that, but you're in Asia, so you're also going to get to see and experience, the bleeding cutting edge technology, right? So, all of that was part of the decision to make that move. And while I expected the tech conveniences in the city, the great mobile service, the fast logistics, the transportation being top tier, digital banking, I wasn't prepared for what came next. And the real surprise to me, and this is why I'm saying that this is where the conversation is going, the real surprise to me was the islands. You see that South Thailand island life? Listen, like many people from the West, I had a certain image in mind when I heard of Phuket or, just any of the Thai islands like Koh Samui, even Railay, right? Even Railay. Like you kind of have this idea as to what, if you've never been, right? And you're just seeing social media or you're just hearing word of mouth, you're probably going to be thinking, luxury resorts, honeymoon getaways, once in a lifetime trips, and definitely not somewhere that you live unless you're essentially rich, right? So when I first came to Thailand, I never even considered moving south. It was Bangkok for me. Maybe Chiang Mai, but again, even looking at Chiang Mai, I was like, no, Bangkok it is for me. Like I want, again, after 10 years in Trinidad and 10 years in the Caribbean, I want all the convenience. I need all the creature comforts. I need to be replenished. And so again, I never even considered moving to South. I looked at Chiang Mai, but I was like, man, nah, I want big city. Let me jump in Bangkok. But once I started to explore the islands, these past couple months in March, April, May, going to Phuket, going to Krabi, going to Railay, and some of the other islands, Phi Phi Islands, Chicken Island, Poda Island. I've gone to a few islands at this point, right? I realized how wrong I was, because not only are these islands absolutely stunning, but they're also accessible and affordable. So I've stayed in spots in Phuket for 20 US a night that were beautiful, clean, and walking distance from the beach. If $20 is too much for you, you don't want to spend that because you're probably not planning on being inside. You're going to be roaming around, doing experiences, doing the most. You can find hostels like beds in dorms for as low as $5 a night. And those are always such popular choices because there's a lot of backpackers. There's a lot of people who are running away for a weekend from one of the other cities or the other provinces, and they know they're not staying inside. So they'll just go book a hostel, all right, get a bed in the dorm, pay $5 a night, and they're never there, right? But the fact that you even have that as an option is beautiful. A big part of the wow factor for me this last week at Railay was the transportation, the ferry, the boat systems between all of the islands. It works like public transport. It's quick, it's cheap, it's efficient. Like when I was in Ao Nang, I just happened to be across the street from one of the areas to go and buy tickets for the long tail boats to get to Rayleigh Beach, right? And again, you're going to these places and they have boats taking you to all these different islands. So you're just telling them, hey, I'm going to this, I'm going to this, I'm going to this island. They give you your ticket. They tell you where the waiting area is. One of the boat guys comes and grabs you and they bring you onto one of the boats and off you go. Like, I bought my ticket and I was the boat ride is about 15 minutes. Between me buying my ticket and me pulling up at Rayleigh, I probably did it in less than 30 minutes. You heard what I'm telling you? I went to a whole next island. And again, I know Rayleigh's not an island. I know I'm gonna say island. It's because you gotta take a boat to get there. That's why I keep saying island. But anyways, buying the ticket, waiting in the area for 5, maybe not even 10 minutes. Right? Between 5 and 10 minutes. But it definitely wasn't even 10 minutes. Guy came, we had a group, he grabbed us, rolled up on a boat, and long tail boat over to Rayleigh. Right? So you have speedboats, long tail boats, ferries that all have different functions, different purposes, different ranges, right? Because what happens is you could take a long tail boat and that long tail boat will bring you to like a transfer island, or sometimes they'll meet other boats. Like, we had to meet a ferry in the middle of the ocean when we were going to Phuket. We took a speedboat. The speedboat docked to the ferry in the middle of the ocean, and the ferry took us to Phuket. You know, so I was just amazed at how the logistics, the boat systems, the coordination, everything worked like clockwork. And what was insane was being in the islands, being on the water, being in islands in the middle of nowhere, and 5G signal never stopped. I was like, listen to me. You would have swore my stories was a paid ad for the wireless company, for the telecoms company, because I'm like, yo, shout out to True. We're here in Pota Island. I'm out here in Pota Island relaxing, and I still have 5G services on Pota Island. I'm in the middle of the nowhere. Pulled up to Chicken Island, and I still have 5G services. This is crazy, right? So all of that, the boating systems, logistics, the still maintaining 5G speeds, that to me was, just mind blowing. Again, it never felt like a vacation. It just felt like life. The past 2 months with me just moving around, going to different countries, going to Bali, Cambodia, Vietnam, it doesn't feel like vacations. It just feels like life. Now, what has made this possible? It's technology. Technology has made this lifestyle so seamless. What's made this transition for me so incredibly smooth has been the level of technology. So from day one, I felt like I was stepping into the future. From when I got off the plane, we had to take a train over from where we were. We took a train over to the main immigration. Getting through immigration. Man, immigration didn't even say a word to me. I had my visa. It was digital. It was on my phone. I handed them my phone. They got the QR code from my digital visa. They took a picture. I scanned a fingerprint. She stamped me in and off I went. She didn't even say a word. That checking into Thailand through immigration was literally 2 minutes. And then I had Grab already downloaded. I had already installed my credit card and everything before I got to Thailand, right? So when I got to Thailand, I came and I checked the immigration. I booked a Grab car from the airport, and the instructions to get to the Grab zone popped up on my phone, and it only happens when you're in the airport. So it knows when you're in the airport, and when you book the Grab, this is the rideshare. When you book the rideshare, the visual instructions as to how to get to the Grab zone, because they have their own designated zone where they pick you up with big signs. You cannot miss it. But in the Grab app, the instructions come up on the phone, and that guided me to where to go and get the Grab taxi. Now keep in mind, I'm in a new country. The airport's so big, I had to take a train to get from where we landed. I had to take a train over to the main hall to get through immigration, right? So I say all that to say, it's a very big place. So anyways, how did I find? I found my condos through the rental property apps, not the apps, the rental property websites, social media, just watching other people's experiences through finding condos, learning about the different websites through different content, doing the research myself, going through the entire process myself to get a condo. Everything was seamless. So anyways, after I got my place on day 4. I moved into my place on day 4. Yeah, I think I spent 3 days in the hotel, and day 4 I moved into my condo. First person to live into my condo. It was a brand new condo. And later that day, I went into True at M-Cartier, went with my passport, went with my digital lease, did not even need a physical lease, my digital lease. Walked in and I ordered home internet and my cell phone service. I was in and out of True in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Both mobile and internet setup. 2 days later, the technician showed up and installed my home internet services, right? And I pay $36 a month for the total services, right? I get 5G speeds on my phone, and I get 500 megabits upload and download for my home internet. Everything here runs, a lot of the stuff here runs on applications, and they just work. So Grab, now I use Grab is a super app. So Grab handles transportation, it handles food delivery from restaurants. You could order, it has all the supermarkets, all the grocery stores, from the small groceries to the big ones, all there. There's pharmacies on there, there's delivery services, there's task services. All of these things are happening inside of Grab. And because of that, I use Grab for pretty much everything. I rarely ever go into a supermarket. Heck, even when I want fresh fruits, there's always a fruit vendor outside by 7-Eleven across the street from my condo, which is literally a 1 second. It's like 1 second, right? I just cross the street. It's not a big street. I just cross the street. There's always a food vendor there selling fresh fruits, mango, watermelon, papaya, grapefruit, you name it, they have it, right? There's always a fruit vendor. So if I want fresh fruits, I just cross the street, get fresh fruits. Or I just jump inside of Grab and order all my groceries through Grab. Order my pharmacy goods through. I just order things from Grab. It just makes life so much easier. I don't have to go out, right? And again, I can spend more time. I don't know about you. I don't care to be in a grocery. Like there are people that like to go grocery shopping. I'm not one of them. I could care less. I just want to have food in the cupboards, right? So I order my groceries on Grab. Again, everything is convenience. The condos are set up for convenience. So one of the little details that my condo does, and I'm sure other condos do this as well. So because Thailand they don't really steal out here, right? All the deliveries will come and they get dropped off in your designated drop-off area, and then you just come and collect it whenever you want to collect it. And man, no one touches your stuff. So people have all their groceries in the drop-off area, and it could be there until kingdom come. No one's touching it, right? So one of the things that they've done, they have the designated drop-off area, so you can go into the cubbies and collect your goods. The drivers inside of Grab, when they drop off your stuff, they will take a picture as to what cubby they have delivered your goods to, and that is sent inside of the application. So once you get, hey, your stuff has been delivered, a picture pops up and it shows you where they have placed your stuff, right? And your name will be on it too, or your room number, either which one. And then what happens is the condo, they actually have mini shopping carts right next to the pickup and drop off area. So for groceries, you just grab the shopping cart. It's a mini one. You grab the shopping cart, put all your stuff in, and you go ferry that to your unit. And then you just come back downstairs and drop it. So you don't even have to carry stuff. And that's the main reason. Let me tell you something. That's actually the main reason why I don't go to the groceries anymore. Because I'm like, why am I going to the grocery when I have to fetch everything? Like, I order cases of water. I don't want to have to, pay for a taxi and then lug all this stuff. No, I don't want to do none of that. Right? I don't want to do none of that. So I order everything inside. I'm not carrying nothing heavy. Man, I've ordered 10 cases of water and they bring everything. Right? I'm not fetching that stuff. And the fact that the condo they have, when you go to like those fancy hotels and they have the bellhops to carry your suitcases and it has like that kind of arc, right? With the hangers and the flatbed or whatever. Man, we have those things downstairs too. So if you're moving or you're ferrying big parcels, big packages, you have that there too. So they have thought about all of these things and placed them there and use it as you see fit, right? So that's, groceries and stuff like that. Then you have things like Gowabi. Now, Gowabi is the central hub or a major central hub. Grab is also available in all of Southeast Asia countries. So as soon as you go over to Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, Vietnam, Cambodia, Grab is available in all those countries. You don't have to change anything. As soon as you land, it automatically flips over to show you all of the restaurants. You don't have to change your profile. You don't have to download another app. It just flips over. As soon as you order a vehicle, it's the same thing. Like, nothing changes. Everything is just seamless. So I could just land in Cambodia. I don't got to download anything. I just order a ride like I normally would back in Thailand, and everything works. When I go over to Vietnam, when I go over to Bali, same thing. Everything just automatically switches over. You don't have to download any new apps or do any new things. Grab just works. That brings me to Gowabi. Same thing. It's a hub for all services in Southeast Asia, right? Again, it shows you all the services in the country that you are physically in. And it shows you in the radius that you are in. So you could put in liposuction. You could put in laser treatments, acne treatments, manicures, anything health and wellness is inside of Gowabi. Any services, procedures, cosmetic procedures, that's inside Gowabi. So you don't have to Google, you don't have to, wonder. And on top of that, Gowabi also incentivizes people to use it, so you often get better pricing on Gowabi than you do when actually going into a lot of these places as well. So there's a lot of discounts to get when you're utilizing Gowabi. And when you make the purchase for the service, it's essentially like you buying a kind of like a ticket, and it's redeemed when you actually go in. So you would purchase it, and then you just make contact with the clinic or whatever you're trying to do, make contact with them to schedule your appointment. When you show up, you just pull up your Gowabi app. Here's a ticket. They scan it, and it cashes or punches the ticket, digitally, of course. And there you go, right? So again, I still don't have to take out cash to pay for things. I don't have to tap my card if I don't want to. And anytime you can minimize tapping your card is always going to be the better. Right, because obviously naturally the more places you are using your credit cards and debit cards, there's the more chances are available for a breach or anything, or to be compromised. Right. So when you have key centralized apps that are trustworthy, that where you don't have to just keep on swiping your card every new place, you could just do everything kind of inside the app. It's always going to be a little bit safer for you, right? So you have Gowabi. So man, listen, and just to give you an example, right? So, So this is kind of personal, right? So I'm kind of hairy, right? And it's something that I've always wanted to get rid of through laser hair. But as you guys know, laser hair removal treatments are expensive. They're expensive as hell in Canada, they're expensive in the US, they're expensive in Trinidad. In Thailand, I've been able to do laser hair removal for my back. And each session costs 1,000 baht, right? That in Trinidad dollars is 208 TT, and 1,000 baht is 30 US. And I say that because I want you to understand the types of savings you are getting when you're doing services in Thailand and in Asia. There's a reason that medical tourism is huge out in Asia. Remember, they're making all the equipment. Their equipment is state of the art. The clinics are state of the art. The professionals just know their stuff. So there's a lot of comfort. Like, you're not going to no shanty town and you're not going to no shack. You're not going in the middle of the jungle trying to get medical procedures done. No, you're going into clinics and you're getting these things done, right? And you're getting them at crazy prices. So there's a joke that says people spend 2,000 US on a plane ticket for $20 services in Thailand. And it's true, right? It's true. So Goabi is like the wellness, is the gateway to like all your wellness services, right? Then you have Lazada. Lazada is basically the Southeast Asia Amazon. So just think of Amazon, and that's what it is for all the Southeast Asian countries. So you shop on Lazada first because it's going to be cheaper, probably going to be faster than shopping on Amazon. So that's another application that you want to download. And then, now again, things are changing really fast, right? So there's a new application, there's a new service called Moretta Pay, Moreta, Moretta Pay, that just came out about 2 weeks ago. And it's the first time ever foreigners are able to now download this application. It's a digital wallet service that you can connect your bank account or your Wise account. You can connect either one of those to Moretta Pay. You can then load money, so it would debit the money. You would just put in how much money you want to load into the wallet, and it would debit your Wise account or debit your bank account, right? Load the money into the wallet, and that now allows you to go around Thailand and scan the QR codes and pay for things like a local person. So now you are in a situation where you are getting to a point where you don't need cash. Now in Thailand, I've said this before, there are ATMs everywhere. I went out to Railay Beach, right? Again, secluded. There are ATMs everywhere. Secluded island. And there's still ATMs with cash. Like, you never went to any one of them and it didn't have cash. But guess what? For the most part, every single business are taking credit cards and debit cards, or whoever isn't, every single person is taking QR code payments. And then again, you also have the ability to go take out cash if you want to pay with cash. So you have all the options available to you, right? So with Moretta Pay now, it launched 2 weeks ago. I just set mine up 2 days ago. So now put some money inside. And again, you can go around to all the businesses and you can pay with QR code payment. Now that's faster. It's also, there's no costs to the business. They prefer QR code payments because they don't lose any money to receive. They don't lose any money in fees to receive the payments. But then they also don't have to worry about keeping cash, right? The only thing with Moretta Pay, and I just spoke with the developers yesterday. The only thing is, it only came out 2 weeks ago, and right now you can only pay businesses through the QR code payments. You cannot pay anybody that's using personal accounts right now. So for a lot of the smaller businesses, they've created their own personal QR code. And if you have a local bank account, then local bank accounts, you can scan and pay anything, businesses or personal account, doesn't matter. That's predominantly what most people will use when paying for services, even if it's like a tuk-tuk. All these guys have their own QR codes, right? So Moretta Pay, speaking to the development team, they said that in 4 to 6 weeks their next iteration comes out, and they're going to be rolling out the ability to pay personal QR codes at that point in time. And that to me is the major missing link, because now how my online business is set up, now that I'm in Thailand, everybody for the most part is paying my PayPal. Like, PayPal is the main payment mechanism that I'm using, right? Before it was WePay, but WePay deposits into my Trinidad bank accounts. I'm moving away from depositing money into my Trinidad accounts because then it's harder to get the money out. So for the most part, everything I'm doing is set up around PayPal. Now with PayPal, I can receive that money, deposit the funds into my Bank of America account, and then from my Bank of America account, it's connected to my MoretaPay, right? So my MoretaPay, once I have the ability to now pay personal QR codes, then all I would do is from PayPal to Bank of America. When I need to take out cash, I would just use my bank card to go to the ATM, take out cash if I need cash. But since everybody uses QR codes, I don't necessarily need cash. What'll happen is I would just use my Bank of America to fund my MoretaPay account, and then I would just scan the QR codes for both businesses and personal QR codes for whatever I'm doing, and that's going to take care of everything. Now, remember, I said it only launched 2 weeks ago. In the next couple of months, they are going to be expanding to the other Southeast Asia countries as well. So follow me now, right? Again, this entire episode, we're talking about why it's been so easy for me to seamlessly integrate into Thailand despite not knowing the language or them using a non-English alphabet, right? With MoretaPay then going to expand to the other Southeast Asian countries, a foreigner doesn't need to have a local bank account at that point. At that point, they could just use MoretaPay. They have their own bank account in their country that they're coming from. They would load the funds into MoretaPay, all right? And then you could travel throughout Southeast Asia and you're just scanning all the QR codes and paying both businesses and locals and or personal accounts alike. And then again, you have your credit card. So my credit card, I actually have my Wise card. Oh my God, I almost spilled my drink. Sorry about that. Yeah, I have my oh, that threw me off. Yeah, I have my Wise card and my Bank of America digital cards. They are connected to my Google Wallet. And so I predominantly always use my phone to tap. Most times I don't really even leave the house with my wallet. And I leave that home most times, right? Unless like if I'm going to be out all day, I might just walk with like my piece of ID. Because most times if like let's just say if somebody does ask for ID, they usually just want to see a picture of the ID and that's it. All right. So that's the next thing too. Anytime I've ever been asked for ID here, it's just been, do you have a digital copy of your passport? And this could be for police, it could be for security to get into some places. And once you have a picture of your ID, they're perfectly fine with that. So again, I say I rarely ever leave the house with my wallet, right? I don't need my bank card because for the most part, I'm going to tap to pay everywhere. And now that I have MoretaPay, when I'm going into the businesses, I would just scan the QR code and pay. But once the personal QR code, the ability to pay the personal QR codes, I might never leave the house with my wallet again because I won't need cash. And they're okay with a picture of your ID, right? So now my documents can be a lot more safeguarded, right? I can move around without much worry, right? And listen to me. I don't know about you, but I find I feel a lot better the less I have to leave the house with. So when I leave the house and I just have my phone and my headphones, I'm happy. Like I don't have to worry. Like there's something about when you're a foreigner and you have to walk around with your wallet, you have to walk around with your passport. These things add additional worries. But because all the payments is taken care of, and now with the MoretaPay, because like I said, for the most part, when I do get stopped or asked for ID, they're perfectly fine with a picture of your ID, right? And I have that, and just being able to just leave, go outside, and not have to walk around with ID. Again, it just adds to it adds to the peaceful feeling, right? So then after payments are taken care of, Then you also have these next two apps. Listen to me. I never thought I'd see the day where I'm using these apps on a regular basis. I can safely say I log into these apps every week and a half. And I never thought I would ever say this, but booking.com, Agoda, trip.com, you see those three applications? I log into those three applications almost every week. Almost every week and a half. Because I would jump in. Let me add Google Flights into that mix, right? But Google Flights is an app. You could use Skyscanner. Skyscanner is an app, but I'll say Google Flights as well. So what I would do, I might be just scrolling through social media, and I might see a restaurant, I might see an activity, I might see something. I'm like, oh wow, that looks cool. Where is that? And then I see, what city, what country. And obviously, I'm in Asia now, so I'm going to get a lot of Asian content, right? Or a lot of people who are in Asia doing things out here, and I would see these experiences, and I'm like, oh wow, well, I would love to do that. I jump in Google Flights first, and I'm like, okay, well, what does a flight out to that country? What does a flight to Bali look like? What does a flight to Maldives look like? What does a flight to Vietnam look like? And give you a perfect example, Vietnam. The first place I went to that was the first country I went to since moving to Thailand. I kept seeing Da Nang, and I kept seeing Da Nang as like the South Beach Miami of Asia. So I'm like, God damn, it's looking good, In my mind, again, I'm still thinking, because I'm coming from Canada and I'm coming from Trinidad, two places where to do anything outside of your home country was expensive. And even if you want, like if you're in Canada, going to the province was pretty much the same cost of an international flight. So I never even cared to go to the other provinces because I'm not paying international flight prices to go to Saskatoon. I'm not going to Moose Jaw. I'm not going to Yellowknife. I'm not going to them places, right? It might be for you, it's not for me. All right? I ain't doing that. And I say that to say I'm not paying international prices. It's not that I would never go. Understand what I'm saying, right? Because we still do have a lot of Canadians that listen to the program. So it's not that I would never go. I'm not paying 700 or I'm not paying 700 Canadian, 600 Canadian, 500 Canadian. I'm not paying them kind of prices to go to Vancouver. I'm not doing it, right? Because when you're in the US, when you're in Asia, when you're in Europe, you're not paying these absorbent prices to go to the other neighboring countries. We're still paying international prices to move around inside of Canada. I'm not doing it, right? And that's predominantly why I haven't done things in Canada, right? Again, if you're leaving Trinidad, just to go to Barbados, you're still spending a $250 US, $300 US. That's insanity. So anyways, I see, Da Nang, Vietnam, and some clips. I'm like, yo, this looks dope, I wonder how much it costs to go out there. I'm expecting to hear, because it's another country, I'm just conditioned that it's going to be like 500 US. Man, I paid 110 US return trip to go to Da Nang. 110 US. When I see that price, I was like, oh my God, say word. Then I jumped inside of booking.com and Agoda. Let me see what kind of, what are the accommodations like? Because okay, we can get there cheap. What do the accommodations look like? What are the prices on those things? And then when I saw the prices where you're getting places for as low, like you're getting hotels, like boutique hotels for as low as $20 a night, US a night, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going. And I didn't need no itinerary. I didn't need to save. I didn't need to do nothing other than pay for the e-visa. So you got to book if you want to go Vietnam with a Trinidad passport. You definitely have to get an e-visa. But it took like the ETA is 2 to 4 business days, right? So I got mine in 2. I got mine in 2 days flat. And a few days after that, I was in Da Nang. I was in Da Nang. Check-in, pulled up my booking.com. I showed them the application and confirmation order, and I got my key, and I went upstairs, and I had a beachfront hotel. Beachfront hotel for a week. And I paid, for the week, I think it was like $130 for the week. It was like 5 days. I paid like $130 for a beachfront hotel. I mean, it rained every day, but that's besides the point. Point is once I saw that, I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy. I don't know, I didn't, it didn't integrate with me at that point in time. That was December. Then my brother came down in end of February, right? So after I came back from Da Nang, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna chill. For the rest of December, I'm gonna chill in January. My brother's coming end of February, so I waited till the end of February before we did it. Before I even went to another place, right? And because again, I'm still thinking like it's everything's gonna be expensive, so I'm still thinking that. I still feel like that at least. When my brother comes and we go to Phuket, man, we I think we spend like $60 return trip to go and come to Phuket. We found a hotel for $20 a night, and it was about a 10-minute walk to the beach, but it was walking through like Patong area. So we had like a lot of things to do, and it was both of our first times to Phuket. So we definitely we wanted that touristy vibes, right? We wanted the touristy vibes. So we went, we did it, and again, just to be able to fly there, get affordable accommodations, made everything easy, and just to be able to book everything from an app. And when you get there, there's no long talk, there's no additional fees, there's no headache. What you pay for on booking.com is what it is, and you pull up, here is my confirmation, here's your key, and off you go. But now let me bring in the last thing that's really kind of just opened up everything for me, and that is Get Your Guide. Get Your Guide is one of the leading platforms in the world right now for experiences. Viator, Get Your Guide, those are two of the top big dogs right now, but I love Get Your Guide. So Get Your Guide, you literally can put in any country in the world, any city in the world, and it shows you like 1,000 activities and things that you can book, experiences that you can have, things that you haven't even thought about. So what's happening a lot more now, and I'm gonna do my next episode is gonna be on experiential tourism, right, and how that's driving tourism around the world. But that deserves its own episode. But Get Your Guide, what Get Your Guide has done for me is now I have this exactly what it is. Get Your Guide. You can now have these experiences, these guided experiences, and it's not just sightseeing, like you're doing things, right? So now you could have these immersive, these cultural experiences, whatever experience you want. It could be fine dining. It could be swimming with the sharks. It could be going to Krabby Snake Park and chilling with cobras all day. Whatever you want to do, there is something inside of these applications for you. Viator and Get Your Guide. So I use Get Your Guide. And now every city that I'm looking at the different types of experiences I'm having. So I can see some content on social media and be like, oh my God. Like one of the things I want to do this year is I want to learn how to scuba dive. I mean, we're halfway through the year. I ain't doing no scuba diving yet. I've snorkeled a couple of times, but I ain't scuba dive yet. But I want to get there, right? But now what's happening is I'm seeing some of these nature experiences. I'm seeing some of the dives, some of the snorkeling sites. And now I'm like, okay, what city is that in? What country is that in? I jump in Google Flights. Okay, flights cheap. Jump into accommodations. Oh, wow, accommodations are cheap. Jump on Get Your Guide. Oh, wow, the experiences are there, and they're, in all types of budgets. So that now you can really plan an entire trip. So now I'm in this space where everything I want, regardless of the language, there's no barrier, because everything that I'm doing is being done through the use of technology, and it's just simplified everything for me. And special shout outs to, the evolution of things like Google Maps, Google Translate, YouTube and social media. These are all key things that have helped the transition, because Google Maps gets me to everywhere I need to be, right? Google Translate, I use Google Translate every single day. And the fact that if you're using, so one of the things that I love technology, right? So I have a Google Pixel 9 XL, right? And I use the Gboard as my keyboard. Gboard, that is the Google keyboard. I use that as my keyboard. And one of the most amazing things about Google about Gboard that I absolutely love, and it's because, and this is how I use Google Translate every single day, is inside of Gboard, there's the Google Translate option. So a bar pops up and you just type in your language and you select what you want it converted to, and it will convert everything into that language that you need. So you're just typing in English, it converts everything into that language, and then you just press send, and that person receives it in their language. And when it comes back in, Google Translate's translating everything for you. So now again, even though Google Translate is, again, what I'll frame it like this. This is the worst that Google Translate's ever going to be. People will often say, "Oh, well, Google Translate doesn't translate exactly, and it's not 100%." Yeah, but it's good enough. It's good enough that you don't really have many issues using it, and you can travel and navigate and speak to people and still get things done. And again, it's getting better, it's getting better, and it's getting better. Heck, now we're at a point where I won't be surprised if there's going to be a Google Gemini integration for translation, because if Google Translate gives me something, I'm like, that doesn't sound too right. What I will do is I'll screenshot the conversation, I'll dump it in ChatGPT. ChatGPT gives me the most accurate transcription of everything that it just said, and then I respond, and it's even more accurate. And then I'll show, like, I've sat with some of my Thai friends, and we've gone through ChatGPT translations versus Google Translate, and everybody is like, "Oh yeah, ChatGPT is absolutely bang on and spot on." Right? So I wouldn't be surprised if in the future we have a ChatGPT or an AI integration, or Google Translate gets help from Google Gemini and handles all the transcription, and it transcribes things even better than Google Translate. Again, these are things, it's only getting better because it's already happening. It's just going to get better and better. So Google Maps, Google Translate, YouTube, social media, these are things that have tremendously helped me acclimatize myself into Thailand. Because remember too, when I moved to Trinidad, there's no content on Trinidad. there's no loads of content on Trinidad. I'm talking about like when I moved. Obviously it's changed over time, but even still, the content that gets created on Trinidad is nothing like the content people are doing on Thailand. And it's because there's just more people. And again, this is not a knock on Trinidad, right? I know we all like to get on people's cases, but this is not a knock on Trinidad. There's just more migration happening into Thailand. So there's more people who are creating content, sharing perspectives, creating more conversations, even if it's not content, even if you're just involved in the forums. There's just more information, there's more content, there's more things being shown and talked about. So now you can see these things and be like, "Oh, okay, I like this," or "That's how you do that," and it just makes it easier to transition here into Thailand, right? So, oh my God, I've said a lot. All of that infrastructure, all of those things, that has removed almost every inch of friction in my transition to Thailand, my transition to Asia. And that has given me some real peace. Like I'm at peace, I'm at ease. And what I've found in Asia, specifically Thailand, is that what I believe many of us in the Caribbean have been craving. We crave that modern convenience fused with tropical living. We don't need the mega resorts, the billion-dollar developments to achieve this. What we need is functional digital infrastructure, seamless logistics, easy payments, and apps that make daily life simpler. CARICOM needs to take a long, hard look at what's happening in Asia. They can look at ASEAN. ASEAN is the Association of Southeast Asian States, or Southeast Asian Nations. Yeah, Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. And they have a regional strategy, and they support each other. And again, all the applications from Grab, Lazada, Shopee's another one of them. There's a couple more, right? Again, Moretta Pay is looking to launch in all the other islands or whatever. But all these applications, they all work throughout Southeast Asia, and they understand that if they want to grow tourism, if they want to build this wealthy region, they have to do it together, and they have to have these seamless applications. Because even if you're using things like Alipay works across all of Asia, all China, it works across all of Asia, right? Things like Alipay. Every single application allows you to connect your Alipay account and pay through Alipay. Again, they're thinking about how can they have cross functionality, cross-border functionality throughout the entire region to stimulate the economy. But in stimulating the economy, it's made everything just more accessible, more easier, especially when you're coming from a foreign country. Once you have a couple of these applications down point and you understand what does what and how to use it, it makes assimilating into the country and into the region a whole lot easier. So I really believe that CARICOM needs to take a look at ASEAN and just see how they have crafted their vision, see what are the underlying things to make it all work, and then use that as a blueprint to transform the Caribbean. Because we all want modern Caribbean. We all want to have technology simplify our lifestyle. And again, I keep on reminding you, this is not about removing cash or there's no cash. No, there's an ATM in Thailand. There's an ATM every 10 steps. I'm at the point where I'm like, oh my God, like how many ATMs do y'all need? Because there's so many. I've never lived anywhere where I have two ATMs, two different companies, two ATMs within a 5-second walk of my home. I've never lived anywhere where even that was a thing, right? But I have that here. So if I need cash, I just cross the street, take out cash, cross back the street. Now that I have Moretta Pay, the need to use cash is less and less. You know, finding an ATM in Thailand is not hard. You know, and I'm coming from Toronto, where, bro, we didn't have ATMs within walking distance. When I lived at Meadowvale and Shepherd, when I lived in Flemington Park, when I lived in Ajax, when I lived in Galloway, listen, we didn't, man, ATMs were not no 2-second walk from each other. But here in Thailand, everything is, just within. And I gotta take a look into this. I have it saved, but I had seen an article that was talking about Bangkok's 15 minutes or less concept. And basically, I started reading the article, but I was doing something else, and I had to put it down. But I got to go back into it. And it's basically talking about how Bangkok has a 15-minute or less concept where they want, wherever you live inside of Bangkok, you should have everything you need for daily life within 15 minutes of your home. So that includes shopping, that includes grocery, that includes healthcare, like healthcare, medical, and transportation. All of that should be within 15 minutes of your home. And I could safely say they've executed that well, because whilst the BTS, the metro station, is a 15-minute walk from my house, and I often walk it because I like to walk, and it's usually nice out. If I don't want to walk, we have a shuttle. Our condo has a shuttle for free, and it runs every 30 minutes, and it brings you to the BTS or the grocery, because it's all in one compound. Matter of fact, our big grocery chain, our Lotus grocery chain that has 1 million restaurants, banks, restaurants, grocery, home shopping, spas, all that's in the Lotus. And that BTS station on Newt that's close to me is also connected to a mall and a movie theater. Like, that's on the other side of it. That's a 15-minute walk. But the shuttle is a 2-minute drive, if that, and that's free. Or if the shuttle's not running because maybe it's, I'm in between runs, or maybe it's after 9 o'clock when they cut off. If I cross the street, there's these bike taxis, like sanctioned, like licensed bike taxis. Like they have a bike, they have they're again licensed taxi, but they're just bikes. They're always out. And I just cross the street, jump on a bike, pay 20 baht, it drops me off. And 20 baht, let me see. Well, how much is 20 baht? Just 20 baht is 60 cents US, right? And 20 baht TT, 20 but TT is $4, 4 TT. 60 cents or 4 TT. And that will drop me to the BTS. And yeah. And that's just outside of my condo. That's just across the street. So now, put all of these things together, right? Thailand wasn't supposed to be this place where I found my modern island dream. I came here with the vision of Bangkok and big city, and my thought process was, I'm living in Bangkok and I would just travel to other countries and whatever the case is. But here I am in Bangkok, and I have access to the sun, the sand, the sea, the lifestyle. I have access to everything. But what's different is the technology, the infrastructure, the logistics, transportation, the systems that make life all flow. And this is what I always wanted back home in Trinidad. And I didn't even realize how deeply I needed it until I got to experience it here. Now, today, like I said, my heart feels full. I'm enjoying my work so much more. Life actually feels balanced. Like life feels like a nice balance between work and play. And I don't feel like I have to choose. I want to end with this. I was chilling with my two good friends. I'm gonna call them my good friends now, right? Two of my friends, Tim Tents, travel vlogger from Belgium, right? It's funny because he has a bald head and a beard too. So when people see us, they're like, "Oh, that's your Belgian chocolate brother." Right? Shout out to Tim. And Tim's girlfriend Pia is from the Philippines, right? And she has a home in the Philippines. They hooked up. They've been dating for some time now. And now they travel. They travel together, right? And we were in Phuket the other day. Matter of fact, they're the only reason I went to Phuket the other day. So when I was in, and again, this is all part of why I'm enjoying, life right now. I was planning to go to Railay Beach. I went, and they were like, "Oh, hey, we're going to Phuket next week. You should come down." I'm like, "Wait a minute, you're going to Phuket next week?" I'm like, "I'll be in Railay next week." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I'm like, "But you know what? I leave to come. I'm coming back home on Thursday. You know what I'll do? I'll just jump on a boat and come to Phuket and spend the night in Phuket. We can hang out. We can hang out on the Friday." And they're like, "That's dope," and that's exactly what happened. So I was able to leave Railay Beach. I went to one of the transportation places. I was like, "Yo, let me get a ticket to to Phuket." They're like, "Cool." I tapped my phone. Again, we're in Railay Beach, secluded island, right? I tapped my phone. I paid for the ticket. They're like, your boat comes at 3:00. I went up to the pier at 3:00. A speedboat picked us up, dropped us in the middle of the ocean. It docked to the ferry, and we crossed over from the speedboat to the ferry, and the ferry took us the rest of the way, the 2 hours of the rest of the way to Phuket. Simple as that. All of these things is what's making this experience just such a magical and peaceful experience. And like I said, life feels balanced. I don't feel like I have to choose. I don't feel like, I'm struggling to maintain work-life balance. Now I'm just living. If I need the beach for a couple of days, all right, cool. A flight, I've seen flights to Phuket as low as $25, or you can go take a 12-hour bus ride and get even cheaper flights, right? No, not every flight is $25. I've seen flights anywhere from 25. I've seen them up to 60 US for the flight. But you also have the buses. So the buses are cheap, but it's just going to take longer, right? I say, I don't feel like I have to choose. If I need the beach, I just book a trip and book a couple of days and go get some beach. Go get some fresh air. Go get some beach. Walk with my laptop. I can do my work from there. Or I don't work. Whatever I need at that point in time, right? So now, whereas, before my brother came, I was waiting till he came, and I was like, okay, I don't want to do anything until he comes. Now, no. Excuse me. Now I'm not doing that. Now, I'm just going with the flow. Now I know for my next lease, my next condo, I want to get something even cheaper. Like I want to get something at the 400 US dollar mark. So like right now I pay 540 a month, 540 US. That's about 4,000 TT. For my condo, I want to get something around the $400 US mark, just because I want to just save more money. I still want to have a good place to live, but I want to save some money, and that's just more money to travel, right? And even if it's on another country, Thailand has hundreds of islands, and just the fact that I can just say, you know what, I need a beach today, or I need a beach tomorrow, and just book a flight, book a bus, book an accommodation. Doesn't need to be the fancy, doesn't need to be the most expensive, but again, if I want luxury, I have that availability. But if I just need a place to stay that's good, comfortable, clean, sometimes even breakfast doesn't even matter, because I might not even want to do the breakfast at a hotel. I might actually want to go and do a nice little breakfast spot, a nice little cafe in the area, right? So not all the time I even want the breakfast at the hotel. Sometimes I want to go in. But the fact that I have all of that, that is what I've wanted in the Caribbean. And I feel like, going through Thailand, where it's quick to get to other countries, it's quick to get to the other islands. The fact that, there's tons of boats, long tail boats, so that's very picturesque, very traditional. The speed boats, the ferries, the fact that you have all of these things in place to get you from island to island to island. I just told you I took a ferry 2 hours to get to Phuket. You telling me I can't take a little ferry to get to Grenada or Barbados? Like, we need to have all these things in place. But that is what's made transitioning to Thailand almost seamless. And that's why I'm saying that. I feel like I've finally gotten, I didn't get modern Caribbean, but I'm getting modern island lifestyle. And this is what I envision for the Caribbean. And there are those who don't necessarily want to use the technology. And that's fine, because you could still, take out cash. You could still do that in Thailand. But then when you start to, when you get reliable technology, when you get technology and the service behind the technology that makes you want to use it, and everything is seamless, and if there's any issues, things get rectified, very, very fast. When that trust in technology is there, it just simplifies your life. It just makes things so much easier. So whether I want to book a flight, whether I want to book an accommodation, whether I want to have an experience, whether I just need to buy some meds, whether I need to buy some groceries, whether I need to pay my bills, I pay all my bills through the True app, where I log on to the website and pay everything online, whether I got to do any of those things, none of it is stressful. And because none of these things are stressful, I am finally getting to that place in my life where I'm at peace. I really am at peace. I have the lifestyle that I've longed for. This is the life that I've wanted. Most days, the only decision I have to make is, do I need to wear shoes? If I don't need to wear shoes, I'm in flip-flops. I'm in shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops everywhere I go. And I enjoy that, because if I do want to put on shoes and put on some jeans and dress up, cool, I can do that. But I love the fact that I can just go almost any and everywhere in some flip-flops, some shorts and a t-shirt. I have my laptop. I have my OnePlus Pad 2, my tablet, and I have a Bluetooth remote controller. I have Super Nintendo games with my ROMs and my emulators on my tablet. So when I'm traveling, my tablet's is a media center. It's a gaming hub. I just whip out my tablet. It has a stand. I stand it up on a tray in front of me. I have my Bluetooth controller, and I'm playing my Chrono Trigger. I'm playing my Breath of Fire. I'm playing my Tales of Fantasia, my Mortal Kombat, my Super Mario. I'm on the airplane. Everybody's watching me play my Super Nintendo games. I've even had somebody be like, hey, when you're trying to jump over this, try doing it like this, and you should succeed, because they're fed up watching me fail at a stage in Mario. And we're on a plane. All of these things have just made life just so much easier and simpler. And that is why I'm saying, like, I really do feel at peace. So I know we typically have, 1 hour episodes, and we really did go over on this one. We're at 1 hour and 24 minutes, but, I need to get all of this out. This episode was definitely just a realization and a reflection and something I needed to just say out loud. But also say it to you, because at the end of the day, even though I'm here in Thailand, I'm exploring, I'm learning, and everything that I am learning and seeing, I can now synthesize that back into the Caribbean and spark these conversations, right? And then I also lecture and teach and provide services. So again, the more that I learn, the more that I'm able to better serve the people that I work with as well. But then outside of, just the business side, just the conversations that can be had, the things that I'm seeing what we could be doing. And again, there's so much that I'm seeing in Asia. And I'm like, man, if we just had this in the Caribbean, this would be such a game changer for us, But again, you know what? Maybe that's my role. Maybe my role is, to be that digipreneur, to be that digital nomad, to be able to travel, to see, and then come back and educate and teach and still be a part of the growth of Trinidad. This is my life right now, and this is the life that I never could have seen happening. I always knew that I wanted it, but I just never could have seen it happening the way that it's happening. And now just being in this position to be able to just travel at any point in time. If I want big city, if I want beach, I'm not compromising. I don't lose 5G speeds because I want to be on a secluded beach. I don't lose tap to pay because I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's just a couple of restaurants on this secluded beach, but I can still tap to pay. You know what I mean? Like all of these things, or scan QR codes to pay. All of these things have enhanced the experience. I never saw any of this coming. But now that I have this lifestyle, I feel full. I feel grateful. I feel at peace. And that has now allowed me to now just relax, not think about work as much as I was thinking about work. I can still live. I can enjoy my life. And the more that I enjoy my life is the more that I'm happier to work when I'm working, right? I'm no longer working to just live paycheck to paycheck and struggle. Like now, the work that I do has a purpose. And outside of serving that purpose, it's also giving me the leeway and the leisure to just live this digipreneur lifestyle that I'm living right now. And for that, I am extremely grateful. I'll end it there. It was a lot. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please definitely rate the podcast. Drop a star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you really enjoyed today's episode, please drop a review on the podcast on, YouTube. You can comment, you can like the podcast on YouTube. Drop your reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. They continue to help grow the podcast family all over the world. And if you want to continue on my journeys across Asia, we're getting back into the vlogs. I just dropped 2 vlogs this week on my YouTube channel. You can go and check that out. Going through Aonang Beach, then going through Rayleigh Beach. I dropped the Snake Park, Avatar Resort, and I have some more stuff that's going to be dropping. Hopefully the vlogs are coming out. So if you want to see more of Asia through my eyes and my experiences, the vlogs are there on YouTube. And then also, we still do everything else that we got to do. We still lecture, we still teach, yada, 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 right? But yeah, so go check out the vlogs. And yeah, man, just enjoy. just try to enjoy your life. Try to create the life that you want to live, the life that you really envision. I think now is the best time to start looking at what is a lifestyle that you really envision for yourself. And don't limit yourself. Don't just stay in your home country or homeland just because. Dare to dream. Even if you have kids, dare to dream, because there's a lot of people that are moving with kids. The problem is you're looking at people like me and you're asking the questions. But you also have to start going on YouTube and Googling the other people. And this is for the people that are moving with families. Don't just look at me and ask questions. Right? I want you to start following some of the other content creators who are migrating to different countries with their family and start looking at their experiences, because there's a lot of people moving with families. And one of the things that people say to me all the time, that I'm like, yo, this is not the way to think about it. Is people will, and it happens too often, people will hit me up and be like, oh, well, you can only do this because you're single. And I'm like, okay, that's me. But what about everybody else that's doing it with kids? Like, there are others doing it. So don't look at me and say, well, oh, you can only do it because you're single, right? No, look at other people that are doing it with families, because there's a lot of content creators that are doing it. There's a lot of people that I meet day to day who are moving with their families. The problem is that I don't always, show some of these things, because some of these conversations are meant for me. Some of these conversations are just intimate, in the moment conversations where the last thing that you're thinking about is pulling on a phone and trying to capture it. And, and I'll say this before I close it, because I'm just looking at an hour and 30. Wow, who do I think I am? But there's a lot of people that I'm meeting, and I did an island tour the other day in Raleigh, and I met a family, family with two kids, right? And they're both from different countries. One's from Belgium, and I forget where the girl is from. She's another part of Europe, and they're both Europeans, but they both met on a trip 12 years ago in PP Islands. That is how they met. They met on an excursion, on a tour in PP Islands. They met there, and they ended up, connecting and dating, and now they're married, and now they have two kids, and now they're back doing a tour in off the south of the Thailand with their two kids, and they're able to travel and navigate, and they're doing. And again, I'm listening to everybody's stories, and I'm just like, wow, we really do live in some amazing times, So again, follow some of the people who are family content creators, who are putting out their stuff about moving. There's a lot of people who are single parents, single moms, single dads who are moving with their kids, and I'm watching their stories on YouTube too, so you can too. All right, but that is it from me. I will, take care, enjoy yourself, and I'll see y'all in the next episode. Take care.
You've been listening to the Digiboss, Karan Rose. We hope your notepad was filled after this episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. The learning doesn't stop, folks. And to make sure you don't miss any gems from the Digiboss, go over and follow him on all social media platforms at Karan Rose. Folks, don't just sit there with a notepad. We need you to implement at least one thing into your business before the next episode. That's the only way your business levels up. Thanks for listening to Digipreneur FM. Now go be great.